5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
The whole Apollo program was a complete fabrication.
The old astronaut's last breath murmured words that nobody was prepared to hear. The same man who was destined to conquer the moon has just revealed a massive secret that could backfire quickly in government agencies across the United States. This shocking claim questions the legitimacy of the famous moon landing. Did we land on the moon? Join us as we investigate this astronaut's shocking revelation about NASA's moon landing. Chapter 1. Lunar Dreams, Uncharted Territory. In the 1960s, the United States made a brave and difficult decision to land on the moon. The mission, called Apollo 11, happened in 1969 and was a huge step for all people. It was like making a dream or a story come true. This trip was our first time going to the moon, and it started a new era in science and technology. Even though the first moon landing was a success, people still debate if it really happened and who was involved. Some video clips look fake, and while some ideas might be hard to believe, it's possible that the moon landing isn't exactly as we think. A new video shows an Apollo 11 astronaut sharing important secrets about what they saw on the moon. This video explores these secrets and tries to explain one of the biggest mysteries in history. Long ago, the moon was a far-off and mysterious object in the sky. We knew it affected the ocean tides and gravity, but we were very curious to learn more about it. After World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union competed in space exploration. This competition grew when Yuri Gagarin from Russia became the first person in space in 1961. In 1969, the Apollo 11 team, led by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, did the amazing thing of landing on the moon. This event was a huge accomplishment for everyone, and as Armstrong said, it was a small step for a man, a giant leap for mankind. Today, the Apollo 11 team is famous for their bravery and groundbreaking work, but there's a third, less famous member of the team, Michael Collins. Born in Rome in 1930, the son of a U.S. military officer, Michael followed in his family's footsteps by joining the Air Force. NASA chose him to be an astronaut in 1963. During Apollo 11, Michael controlled the main spacecraft while Aldrin and Armstrong went to the moon. On July 12, 1969, when their module, Eagle, landed on the moon, it was a huge moment for everyone. While Armstrong and Aldrin walked on the moon, Michael stayed in orbit, making sure they could return safely. While on the moon, Armstrong and Aldrin spent about 2 hours doing experiments, collecting moon rocks and putting up the American flag. They even talked to President Nixon from the moon, which was a first. At the same time, Michael, in the main spacecraft, played a key role in making sure the mission went well. Michael's role was crucial, but not as famous. He kept the spacecraft on the right path while Armstrong and Aldrin were on the moon. Michael was a central part of the mission. Without him, things could have gone very wrong. He is one of the few people who have been to the moon and pioneered spacewalks. After NASA, Michael had a successful career, including being the director of the National Air and Space Museum. When people talk about Apollo 11, they often focus on Armstrong and Aldrin. Michael's role was just as important. He manually steered the spacecraft, which was a tough job at the time. His work was complex and vital, making him a key figure in one of the most important events in human history. Chapter 2. Beyond the Atmosphere, the USSR Threat. The space race was critical to the Cold War. It wasn't just about who had the best technology. It was also a big chapter in the ongoing rivalry between the USA and the USSR. This time was filled with incredible steps forward in exploring space, driven by the fierce competition between these two giants. From the late 1950s to the 1960s, there was an amazing speed in how quickly we explored space. The USSR got ahead early on with some major firsts. They sent up Sputnik, the first satellite, in 1957, and in 1961, they sent Yuri Gagarin, the first person, into space. These big wins did more than just show off the USSR's tech skills. They also made a big splash worldwide, showing everyone how advanced the Soviet Union was in space and making the United States feel like they had to hurry to not fall behind. Both countries pushed their limits during this era to achieve what had never been done before. The excitement and tension of the space race got everyone's attention. People worldwide watched as each new mission was launched into the unknown. The United States worked hard to catch up, leading to their own significant moments, like sending astronauts to the moon. The competition wasn't just about reaching space. It was about proving which country was the strongest and the most innovative. Each achievement in space was a point of pride and a step forward in showing the world their power. This race made space exploration a priority and led to advancements that changed how we understand the universe. The space race made both countries strive to do their best. It was a time of firsts, of pushing boundaries, and of making history. The rivalry made the USA and the USSR focus on space like never before, turning their competition into a drive for discovery that impacted not just them, but the whole world. The United States, eager not to fall behind, sped up its efforts to explore space. With President John F. Kennedy at the helm, the country promised to achieve a bold goal, to land a man on the moon and bring him back to Earth safely before the 1960s were over. This daring aim laid the groundwork for the Apollo program. Despite facing some challenges at the start, the program eventually led to the memorable moment when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin stepped onto the moon in 1969 during the Apollo 11 mission. Many people saw this event as the United States clinching victory in the space race, a contest that had pushed both competitors to make big leaps in space technology and exploration. The competition in space did more than just lead to technological breakthroughs. It sparked a wave of competition and creativity, leading to the invention of new rocket technology, ways to communicate via satellites, and methods for humans to travel in space. For instance, the Apollo missions needed the creation of the Saturn V rocket, the strongest rocket that had ever been made, allowing the United States to send humans to the moon. These missions also helped advance computing, telecommunications, and materials science. Furthermore, the space race deeply influenced how countries around the world viewed power and leadership during the tense times of the Cold War. The Soviet Union's early wins in space served as a loud message, claiming the technological and ideological edge of the communist way of life. In turn, the United States' successful moon landing wasn't just a win in technology, it was a powerful statement of the country's ability to innovate, overcome challenges, and lead in the quest to explore space. This achievement didn't just show off America's technological capabilities, it was a demonstration of its determination, resourcefulness, and guiding role in pushing the boundaries of space exploration. After the space race ended, the way countries explored space began to change. Instead of competing against each other, countries started working together. A big moment in this shift was the Apollo-Soyuz test project in 1975. This was when an American spaceship and a Soviet spaceship met and joined together in space. It was a big deal because it showed that countries that were once rivals in exploring space could work together. This event wasn't just about ending a competition. It started a new chapter where countries help each other in space exploration. Since then, we've seen even bigger projects where countries collaborate, like building and using the International Space Station and planning missions together to learn more about space. Looking back, the space race was a very important time. It was about more than just two countries trying to outdo each other in space. It was also a time of tension between them on Earth. But it pushed humanity to achieve incredible things in space exploration. The hard work and achievements during the space race set the stage for all the space exploration that came after. Today, exploring space is something that excites people all over the world. It encourages us to keep making new discoveries and advancements in science and technology. The journey of exploring space has shown us that when we work together, we can achieve amazing things that once seemed impossible. Space called. We answered, stepping into the unknown Chapter 3, touching the cosmic shore. Sea of Tranquility. Once in space, the spacecraft circled the Earth before it shot off towards the moon. After 3 days, it reached and orbited the moon. The most thrilling part came when the lunar module, called Eagle, detached and landed on a flat area known as the Sea of Tranquility on July 20th, 1969. Armstrong and Aldrin then stepped into history as the first and second people to walk on the moon. For about 2.5 hours, they did experiments, gathered moon rocks, and set up science equipment. They also did meaningful acts like planting the American flag and having a chat with President Richard Nixon over the radio. They brought back 47.5 pounds, 21.5 kg, of moon stuff to Earth. The whole world watched Armstrong's first step on the moon on TV. His words, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind," became legendary. This mission showed off the United States' tech skills during the Cold War and was a big moment in exploring space and learning more about the universe. Once they met up again with Collins waiting in the Columbia spacecraft orbiting the moon, the team started their trip home. This journey ended with their spacecraft landing in the Pacific Ocean on July 24, 1969. Even though there were worries about bringing back unknown moon germs, the astronauts had to stay in a special room for 21 days to make sure they were safe. This mission was a big win for the United States in the competition to explore space, achieving what President Kennedy had dreamed of. The Apollo 11 mission also brought back rocks and dust from the moon, giving scientists a treasure trove of information. They found out about the moon's volcanic past and learned about breccias, which are rocks made up of bits of other rocks, created by space rocks hitting the moon. These discoveries were key in understanding not just the moon, but also how our whole solar system came to be. In many ways, Apollo 11 did things that had never been done before. It was the first time humans set foot on another place in space, the first time we collected stuff from somewhere else in space, and the first time we managed to bring people back safely to Earth after they had visited the moon. This mission is remembered as one of the most incredible things we've done, showing the amazing things people can achieve when we work together towards a big dream. The journey back to our planet was not just a simple trip. It was filled with anticipation and a bit of nervousness about the unknowns from the moon. The safety measures taken after their return, including the quarantine, highlight how carefully we tread into the unknown, always cautious of the unforeseen. Apollo 11's contribution to science and our understanding of the cosmos cannot be overstated. The rocks and dust it brought back opened new chapters in the book of space science, allowing us to piece together the moon's story and, by extension, the narrative of our own solar system's birth and evolution. The mission encapsulates the spirit of exploration and the boundless curiosity that drives humanity to reach beyond our grasp, to touch the stars, and to dream of what lies beyond our world. It stands as a testament to the power of collaboration, determination, and vision, reminding us of the heights we can achieve when we dare to dream big and work hard to turn those dreams into reality. A hero circled the moon alone, vital yet overlooked. Chapter 4: The Untold Story of Apollo 11's Third Man. Michael Collins is often not celebrated enough, but he was incredibly important in the Apollo 11 mission, which was the first time humans went to the moon. He was born in Rome, Italy, on Halloween in 1930, and he chose a path that would make him a key figure in space exploration history. His adventure started when he graduated from the United States Military Academy at West Point in 1952. After that, he had a remarkable career in the United States Air Force, where he became an expert fighter pilot and a test pilot. His journey into space is filled with important moments. NASA chose him in 1963 to be part of their third group of astronauts. He first went to space on the Gemini 10 mission, during which he did 2 spacewalks. But it was his role in the Apollo 11 mission that really made him a legend. As the command module pilot, Collins was the one orbiting the moon by himself, while his teammates, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, got to walk on the moon. Being all alone up there got him called the loneliest man ever. While he circled the moon 30 times, Collins had a critical job. He made sure the command module, the spacecraft that would carry them back to Earth, was working perfectly. Even though he never walked on the moon, his work was essential for the mission to succeed. After his adventures in space, Collins didn't stop making a difference. He went on to work in important roles, like being the Assistant Secretary of State for Public Affairs, and later the director of the National Air and Space Museum, where he continued to share his passion for space and exploration. Michael Collins's journey to becoming an astronaut was driven by the excitement of the space race and the inspiring achievements of early astronauts like John Glenn. He was determined to join their ranks, even though he faced several rejections at first. However, he didn't give up, and his persistence paid off when he was chosen for a truly momentous space mission. On the historic day of July 20th, 1969, while Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were making their famous walk on the moon, Collins was orbiting around the moon by himself. He played a crucial role as the one who would ensure Armstrong and Aldrin could come back safely, which they did on July 24th, 1969. Even though Armstrong and Aldrin often received more attention for being the first to walk on the moon, Collins' contribution was equally heroic. Orbiting the moon alone, he showcased his exceptional piloting skills, courage, and commitment to the mission's success. After he left NASA in 1970, Collins took on several important roles, notably working at the Smithsonian Institution, where he helped preserve the history of flight and space exploration. Collins's life story serves as a powerful example of how teamwork and bravery are essential for space exploration. From his childhood, which involved moving often because of his father's job in the military, to his thoughtful moments alone orbiting the moon, his journey reflects the wide range of his contributions to the Apollo 11 mission and to the broader field of space exploration. His time alone in space, in particular, has left a lasting legacy, inspiring others to explore and dream about the possibilities beyond our world. His story reminds us that every member of a team has an important role to play in achieving something extraordinary, the moon's hidden side, unseen and full of secrets. Chapter 5, Lights Out, Exploring the Silent Moon. The phrase, the dark side of the moon, often makes people think of secrets and unknown things. It talks about the part of the moon we can't see from Earth, but calling it dark can be a bit confusing. This hidden part of the moon isn't always in shadow. It has its own cycle of day and night, just like the side of the moon we can see. The word dark here really means it's out of our sight, not that it lacks light. In 1968, the astronauts on the Apollo 8 mission were the first people to see this hidden side with their own eyes. They discovered a world that looked different because it doesn't have many of the large, dark spots called Maria that we see on the side facing us. But this hidden side still gets bathed in sunlight. This hidden side looks so different, with fewer dark spots, because of its crust. The crust is thicker there, and that's because of how the moon came to be in its early days. There's a theory that the moon was formed from a huge crash between Earth and another big object. Both Earth and the bits that came together to make the moon were very hot at the start. The side of the moon that faces us stayed warmer for a longer time because of the heat from Earth, while the hidden side cooled down quicker. This temperature difference affected how the moon's surface materials came together, making a thicker crust on the hidden side. So when space rocks hit the moon's side that faces us, they could break through the crust and create the dark spots we see. But on the hidden side, these impacts often didn't go deep enough to bring up magma from below, leaving it with more hills and craters instead of dark, or spots. Learning about how the moon moves and turns helps us understand why we always see the same side of it. The moon is in a special dance with Earth, spinning around at the same pace it goes around our planet. This makes the same side of the moon always face us. Even though it might seem like one side is always dark, both sides of the moon get sunlight at different times as it moves around Earth. The idea of a dark side is more about how we see things from Earth than a place where the sun never shines. Michael Collins had a very special experience with this when he went on the Apollo 11 space mission. While Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin went down to the moon, Collins stayed in the spacecraft, flying around the moon. When he went behind the moon, he couldn't talk to anyone on Earth because the moon blocked the signals. These quiet times showed how alone you can feel in space and how cut off the far side of the moon is, not just by distance, but also in being able to talk to Earth. People are really interested in the far side of the moon. We haven't learned as much about it as we have about the side that faces us because it's harder to send signals there. But with new technology and future trips to the moon, we hope to learn more about this hidden side. This could tell us a lot about the moon's rocks, its past, and other secrets of space that we're eager to discover. Doubts cast shadows on moon landing's bright triumph. Chapter 6, The Apollo's Mission. Just a big lie? For many years, people have argued about whether the moon landing really happened or if it was all a big trick. Some folks think the pictures and videos from the moon were all made up by NASA and others to make it look like the US was winning the space race against Russia. One of the first people to say the moon landing didn't happen was Bill Kaysing. He wrote a book in 1976 called We Never Went to the Moon, America's $30 Billion Swindle. Even though Bill didn't know much about rockets, his book made a lot of people start to doubt if the moon landing was real. The Flat Earth Society also said NASA made up the whole thing, with help from movie makers using a story by Arthur C. Clarke and directed by Stanley Kubrick. These ideas got more attention because, after the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal, people were less likely to believe what officials said. However, those who don't believe the moon landing was fake say that Russia, which was trying to get to the moon, too, and was really good at spying, would have told everyone if the moon landing was just a show. They point out that Russia watched the Apollo missions very closely, but never said they were fake. This makes many people think the moon landing did happen. Also, pretending to land on the moon would have been very hard to do without getting caught, especially with experts and people from other countries watching closely. Now, the argument about the moon landing has been going on for a long time. Some say it was all made up to make the US look better than Russia in space. Others believe the moon landing was real and that there's enough proof to show it wasn't just a big lie. This debate continues because back then, people started to trust the government less, and making a fake moon landing would have been a huge effort to keep secret from the whole world. Many people who believe in conspiracy theories have said things about the moon landing that simply aren't true, but science has proven them wrong. For example, some people say that the shadows in pictures from the moon landing don't match up because they're not straight. This isn't true because of how we see things in 3D. Just like in a picture, lines that are actually parallel can look like they're going in different directions because of the way we see depth in space. Also, some folks worry that the astronauts couldn't have survived the trip through the Van Allen radiation belts, a place in space with a lot of radiation, because it would have been too dangerous. But they made it through quickly, kind of like how you can walk quickly over hot coals without getting burned. The problem with these moon landing conspiracy theories got bigger because of social media. On platforms like Facebook and Twitter, wrong information can go viral quickly. But many groups and people who know a lot about the Apollo moon missions have been fighting these false stories. They use real facts and science to show that the moon landing was real. Even though you might see a lot of people online saying the moon landing was fake, there's a huge amount of proof that it actually happened. This includes rocks from the moon, pictures, and the technology that was developed for the space program. Even though stories about fake moon landing photos and debates on shows like Joe Rogan's podcast continue, there's a ton of proof and scientific work that shows the moon landings were real. These arguments online are part of a bigger issue, where people doubt official stories and how much influence media, both new and old, has on what we think is true. The Apollo 11 mission, the first time humans walked on the moon, changed how we see the world, our education, and the way we explore science. It made people all over the world excited and think differently about our spot in the stars. When Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked on the moon, about half of all the people on Earth were watching. This shared excitement showed how important the mission was for everyone, no matter where they were from. It brought people together making everyone feel like they were part of one big family. This mission did a lot more than just show we could go to the moon. It led to big improvements in many areas, like rocket building, computers, and making new materials. These advances helped us do more with technology. The famous picture of the Earth rising, seen from the moon, made people see our planet in a new way. It looked small and delicate. This picture made more people care about protecting the environment and helped start the environmental movement in the 1970s. Apollo 11 also made a big difference in schools. It made more kids interested in studying science, technology, engineering, and math. This increase in interest is known as the Apollo effect. Thanks to this, a lot of young people wanted to become inventors or space explorers. Schools started focusing more on these subjects, helping to prepare a new generation to push the boundaries of what we can discover. The excitement about space also showed up in movies, songs, and books, showing how deeply the mission affected our culture. The work done during the Apollo mission still shapes space travel today. The tools and technology created for Apollo are now used in many different areas, including healthcare devices and computer programs. Current space projects, like NASA's Artemis program and companies such as SpaceX, are building on what Apollo 11 started. They have plans to send people back to the moon and, one day, to Mars, and even further. The story of Apollo 11 is a powerful example of what happens when people work together, driven by curiosity and the desire to do something that's never been done before. It shows that we can achieve amazing things when we join forces to tackle a challenge that seems too big to overcome. This mission didn't just show the world what we're capable of when we work as one. It also laid the groundwork for all the space exploration that's happened since. It encourages us to keep looking up at the stars and to keep thinking about what else is out there, waiting for us to discover it. Apollo 11's impact goes beyond just reaching the moon. It's about the spirit of adventure and the urge to learn more about the universe. This mission proved that the possibilities are limitless with enough determination and teamwork. It has inspired countless people to think bigger and to imagine what else we might find in the vastness of space. As we continue to explore, we follow in the footsteps of Apollo 11, always reminded that there's so much more out there to learn and explore. Do you think it's true that they reached the moon, or is everything just a government lie? Let us know. Your opinion matters. Smash that like and subscribe for more.